John Macaroon here with your OTA recap for Thursday. My goodness, it's June 5th, 2025, and the Detroit Lions conducted their final OTA practice that we were able to see. Summer vacations here, and there's nobody happier than the doc. But I want to recap everything that I did get a chance to see over the course of a couple hours there at Allen Park. And you look at it, and it started with Dan Campbell, and you could tell why players and all of Metro Detroit and a lot of the NFL world have a lot of respect for Dan Campbell because he was able to stand up there and show center Frank Ragnow the respect. And that comes from the fact that Dan was a player. He definitely can relate clearly to the plight of Frank Ragnow. And I had asked Dan Campbell, like, did Frank reach out to you personally to kind of get some counsel? And so they spoke. And I'm sure that they had a deep conversation about football, about what life could look like afterwards. Dan Campbell, no doubt about it, was probably the furthest thing on his mind was the football team when speaking to Frank Ragnow. Now, we don't know because clearly he tends to always keep those kind of conversations between coach and player tend to be a little bit private, as they should be. And Dan Campbell, I think, right away set the tone by showing Frank Ragnow the proper respect. Now, do I believe that, he indicated that the talk about contract was disrespectful? And he indicated, and it was asked too, because there is a little bit of mixed messages going on. And here's why. At the end of the season, and a reporter brought it up, at the end of the season, Frank Ragnow was asked because of the last couple years reporters have wanted to know, like, how are you feeling after the season? How's it going for you? And he said that he felt pretty decently after the year. And Dan Campbell said that by and large, Frank had a decent season in 2024. So that's why it came as a surprise that all of a sudden he needed time to further evaluate and was telling the team. And the team just kind of wanted to know his plans before the end of the offseason, which was by today. And so he took as much time as humanly possible and made the decision. And so most likely he felt a sense of contempt, feeling contempt and comfortable with the decision that he made. Now, of course, he was going to struggle and feel the weight of detaching from a football team. That's the one thing that players really miss is feeling the comfort of the locker room. And so I want to say he probably felt content with his career, how much money he made, and things like that. But Dan Campbell kind of indicated that, look, if Frank went to the team and said, hey, take care of me, I most likely believe they may have. Maybe not to the degree he wanted, but I do think that the team would have found a way to keep one of the top all-pro centers around. So, it was reported by a local beat writer that Frank Ragnow was unhappy, but he indicated that he found that out back in March. So, when you look at it in totality, I don't think it's just one thing. It wasn't like Frank's unhappy. He ends up retiring from the National Football League. I don't think that's just the case. I think that he summarized everything that went down, and he looked at everything and he looked content. He said, "You know what? I had a good career. I have good connections. I have lifelong friends. Did everything I wanted to do. Do I really want to invest more time when my body maybe doesn't feel as good as I wanted to?" And so he made the decision. So I thought that Dan Campbell set the tone early by showing Frank Ragnow the proper respect, as he should. And hopefully, maybe Frank Ragnow will have an opportunity to address in person those kind of rumors that said, hey, back in March, hey, were you thinking about it? Were you thinking about your guarantees and all that kind of stuff? Because there's a chance to kind of reflect a little bit on his career and what he thought about playing for the Detroit Lions. But also, Dan Campbell indicated the team will be ready. There's a chance, there's a competition, and the team will start the best player, whether it be Graham Glasgow, Tate Ratledge. He did mention a surprise name, Kingsley Iguakun. Now, he was a player that I do think was in the mix as well. He's a player that the team kind of is fond of. So he's in the mix, has a chance. But I do think it's going to be a two-horse race for center. It's going to be either Graham Glasgow or Tate Ratledge. And judging by Dan Campbell, Tate Ratledge might be closer than people think to being named the starter. Just has to have that good training camp, really impress at the start of those preseason games. And if he's able to showcase what he's about, then there's a great opportunity for him to get out there on the field. And Dan Campbell indicated that Jameer Gibbs, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Ennis Rakestraw, a lot of good players have started to showcase their skills and had good OTAs. He named them by name and said, hey, here are the guys that I felt had good OTAs. And by and large, that's what we saw over the course of a couple practices. You get a chance to see talented players trying to make plays in team periods and having opportunities like Ennis Rakestraw and Jamison Williams to showcase their growth and what they're about. Now, today was, one of those real conflicted feelings. Like, it's the last day of school, but you're excited. Like, you want to go see everybody and you want to see the team. You wanted to see a practice. So to me, the 2 days being on the last days of the 3 days each week kind of was at a disadvantage. It felt like we didn't get a chance to get the full OTA experience. And so I can appreciate it. Like, you don't have to focus as intently as you do at training camp. But by now, I'm ready. Like, I got my notepad ready, I got the camera ready. I want to see some football. I want to see at least a couple competitive periods. That was not that at all. It was a glorified walkthrough. And so on Thursday, there's not a lot of conclusive statements you can make other than, you look at it and you say, all right, Panay Sewell, Taylor Decker got the day off. We're not participating this week. So who did I see out there starting? It was Gio Manu. It was Christian Mahogany on the left side. So you get Manu at left tackle, Mahogany, Tate Ratledge at center. You get Coyote Awosika in the mix as well, along with Dan Skipper on the right side. So it was Awosika at right guard, and it was Dan Skipper at right tackle. And then just basically a walkthrough, going through tempo type stuff and moving through and seeing how the defense can react to the calls that were made at a quicker tempo. But they were not going full speed in any capacity. So, but there was a fun moment where Jared Goff got to showcase some mobility. So that's always fun. I think everybody gets a joke, takes a joke. Ha ha. Yeah, Jared running, and the whole team, even Jared, is lighthearted about it. Like, okay, yeah, I got a 2-yard scamper into the end zone. And I think everybody was having a good time with it. It was kind of like, really, for the players, the last day of school. It was an opportunity for them to get their work in. And so for the reporters, it was a chance to talk to the players afterwards. And so I had a chance directly for about 5 minutes. I caught up with DJ Reed. He was a player I wanted to see more of on the field, competing against JMO and others, but it didn't happen. But I got a chance to have a 5-minute conversation with him that will air probably Friday or Saturday at Detroit Lions on SI. I'll have the audio and the exact questions and answers. I love just airing what I asked and what the players say, so you get the full context of everything. But he shared with me what his goal is for 2025 and what it's like being in the room with Ennis Rakestraw, what it's like guarding JMO and what he can bring. He talked about an underrated aspect of JMO's game. So I'm just going to tease it there that look for it. Had a chance one-on-one to talk with DJ Reed. And so with that, I missed a lot of the interviews that were off to the side because we got a chance to be on the practice field. And then a lot of the interviews were on the side, like Dan Skipper and Amik Robertson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I did get a chance to hear Amon-Ra St. Brown reveal why he wasn't there. Knee surgery, cleanup surgery. And so a lot of times it's one of those situations where you're nicked up at the end of the year and your body breaks down from all those workouts. And so you just get a little bit of a scrape or a cleanup. And that's what he said, is that he got an offseason procedure to clean up stuff, was how he described it. But the great news is he will be ready for training camp. So no worries on the injury front. Got to see him working out off to the side with trainers as well as Tesla. Now, a takeaway. Broderick Martin did not work out, but he was doing work to the side. He was pushing and doing some strength drills and looks more athletic. Looks definitely like an individual who lost and shed some weight, is more muscular, filling out a little bit. Now, I can't wait to see what that looks like at training camp when he's got the opportunity. But he has shed weight. He has he looks a lot more athletic and lean at that spot. He walked off. And so a couple of odds and ends, you got to see Calvin Johnson speak with Sheila Hemp, and seeing him in attendance is always good, having a general conversation with the team principal owner. And so he was out there and got himself, a high five and a hug from Rod Wood as well. So it looks like they've officially buried the hatchet. And so probably when the cash got to his bank account, feelings kind of went away, the hard feelings with Calvin Johnson toward the organization. So it's always good to see him around and checking out practice. But man, he got to see a walkthrough. Didn't get to see a whole heck of a lot of competitive periods. But it's still good to see that Jameer Gibbs and Ennis Rakestraw and Jamison Williams, some offensive weapons, are starting to do their thing. And so I'm very curious now as training camp will commence in about 5 or 6 weeks. Summer break. Here we are. It's a time now where we will not stop. We will do podcasts. We will reflect on the season. We'll talk about different position battles that are going to start to emerge, most notably along the offensive line. Who's going to take some of these spots? And when the full team takes place, when the full team gets together, it's going to be competitive. I know those first couple of days of training camp are light and they involve some drills and things like that. But there's time now to really reflect and look at this roster deeply, look at the schedule. One last thought. I did try to get a reaction out of Dan Campbell. Wanted to know what he thought about playing the Bears week 2. Now, I didn't think that he would go full on and go into great detail, but I thought he would give a response in regards to just, hey, did you want to either play them right away or later? He's like, line them up as they are, and we'll play them. He's like, he likes the schedule as it is, and he gave the coach speak answer, which is fine. But I do think that he did probably find out pretty quickly when the Bears game was, and maybe the Lions are excited to play an old friend pretty quickly. But for Dan Campbell, it's hey, who's in front of us week by week? Let's go out there and prepare and do the best you can to get out there. So he's like, I'm indifferent. I don't care when we play the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, the Ravens. It is what it is. When you line up and play them, that's a team that you got to go out there and face. One last thought before I get out of here. Ben Johnson definitely is copying what he did with the Lions practice with the Bears. You can see the video of the Bears offensive lineman trying to catch some balls. Cute. Very cute for Ben Johnson. And it would behoove him to copy a lot of things from the Detroit Lions because there's a lot of success and a lot of positivity that was gained and gleamed from the time that he spent in Detroit. That's my takeaway. It was a light day at practice, summer vacation. You will see less podcasts, but you'll still see us on videos, recaps, news, some ideas of previews, things like that. Probably 1 or 2 podcasts a week, maybe more. As maybe interviews get lined up, people we want to talk to, we will bring you continued coverage of everything, recapping all the media sessions from the last month and tying a bow to it. But 5 weeks will go by quick. And here we are, summer break. There's nobody happier than the reporters covering an NFL team. But make sure you stay with Detroit Lions on SI for all your highlights, videos, analysis, previews, what people are saying, rankings, looking at the competition in the NFC North, the NFC, how the Lions stack up against each opponent. We'll have a chance to go in depth with a lot of coverage now with some time off. And so it's a great opportunity to recap what everybody was saying. And thanks everybody for your support on the YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell, like and subscribe. If you like any commentary, please feel free, leave a super chat. We appreciate all the thank you guys for the early commentary and the early reception for being on YouTube. And thank you for your willingness to drop a tip, basically. I really do appreciate that. That's very kind for the couple dozen of you that have left a tip saying, hey, great commentary. We appreciate it. Keep it going. And that's what we'll do. Wrapped up, let's see, 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Officially, the 6th year of 2024 has come to an end. Now, as training camp starts, it'll be officially the 7th year. 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 will be our 7th complete full season covering the team. And this 5-week break will give us a nice chance for reflection. Thanks, everyone. These are the takeaways. Leave a question, leave a comment, and I'll share everything that I know. You guys know that we're interactive and we don't hesitate from sharing our opinions and replying to your commentary. Thanks, everyone. I'm the Doc, John Macaroon. Let's connect real soon.